Good evening, everyone. My name is Saiful, and I welcome you to our focused discussion forum on OSH legal requirement in business management and the specific aspect of the Occupational Safety and Health Act, known as OSHA in Malaysia. Now, in this forum, I am joined by my two panelists, Mr. Afiq Haikal as a panel one, and Mrs. Dayang Nur Salihah, both are final year student in University Technical Malaysia Melaka, UTM. So, without wasting any more time, let's start off. Mr. Afiq, could you start by explaining the main role of OSH legal requirement in business management from your understanding? By all means, please.
All right, certainly. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, basically, the occupational safety and health legal requirements serve primarily to protect employees from workplace hazards. They ensure that business implement adequate safety measures and provide training to manage risk.
So they provide training to manage risk and mitigate the possibility of it. But Mrs. Daya, how do these legal requirements affect the day-to-day basis operation? Would you mind to explain it?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. They require business to regularly assess risk and develop safety protocols and ensure compliance through audit and training programs. It's about integrating safety into everyday practices like that.
Oh yeah, I think we all familiar with risk assessment and hazard analysis. I think this is what Mrs. Dayang Sariha meant by. Afik, could you detail the responsibility businesses that have under the factory and machinery that was stated in the Act of 1967?
All right, thank you for the question. So, under the Factory and Machinery Act 1967, businesses must ensure the machinery safety, regular maintenance, and adhere to specific guidelines for operation. They must go also reports any incidents or accidents related to the machinery.
Yeah. Incident and accident, two different terms. Right. Moving on to the OSHA Act on 1994. What are the key features of this act? Ms. Dayang, would you mind to explain?
Okay. OSHA 1994 focus on general uh, safety and health regulations, workplace policy, and employee training and emergency preparedness. It's stated in OSHA 1994.
OSHA. By emergency preparedness, how would you explain that? Is it by something like fire alarm drill or something like that?
Yes.
I see. Emergency drill. So, Mr. Afiq, how does OSHA 1994 define the responsibility of employers?
For OSHA 1994, the employers are responsible for providing safe workplaces, preventing health risk, and fostering a culture of safety. They also must provide the information and training of OSH.
Information and training on the subjected OSH. Sam, Mrs. Daya, what about the employees? What are their responsibilities?
Employees must comply with safety procedures, and they use protective equipment such as PPE and report hazards. They also encourage to participate in safety training and programs.
So based on both of your answer, you emphasize on the safety training program as mentioned by Afik and Dayang. So we can conclude that safety training program is important for OSH 1994. Moving on, how do the regulation address the workplace hazards? Mr. Afik, would you mind to
All right.
explain a bit?
Yes, let me explain. So the regulations require hazard identification, risk assessment, and implementing control measures. Regular monitoring and health surveillance are also the key.
Curriculum monitoring. And with the technology that we have now, continuous monitoring is possible and should be done. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
All right, Miss Dayang, are there any specific industry that comes to mind where this act are more critical, more important? Could you elaborate on that?
Yes. Industries such as construction, manufacturing, and chemical processing have heightened risk and thus requires strict adherence to OSH laws.
Construction, manufacturing, and especially chemical processing. We don't
Yeah.
want the incident like the Chernobyl and the nuclear explosion in Japan to ever happen again. So that's
Yes.
why we emphasize on the criticality for the OSH Act in Malaysia. Now, Mr. Afik, would you explain the concept of due diligence in the context of OSHA? We need a bit of clarification on that.
All right. Actually, the concept of due diligence in the context of OSHA, it means that employers must take all responsible precautions under the particular circumstances to prevent the injuries or incidents or accidents in the workplace.
Employers take all precaution. So, Dayang, how does OSHA 1994 encourage the reporting on the incident that happened?
It is establish clear procedures for reporting and requires employer to investigate incident to prevent future occurrence.
Oh, this one is interesting, which means we are encouraging for the whistleblowers effect, right?
Right.
Uh, um, but Dayang, can the companies be exempt from any OSH requirement, in your opinion?
In general, no. All business must comply with OSH requirement, but certainly, small operation may relax standards. It's vital to consult the specific regulation for details.
Compliance and obedience for the regulation. But Afik, would you share any penalties do the business or the small business face for non-compliance with OSHA 1994 Act?
All right. The penalties. Actually, they can face the substantial fines, operational
Fines.
shutdowns. Yes, and also they also face operational shutdowns and even jail time for executive if non-compliance leads to severe accidents or fatalities.
It seems this one point is the thing that I agree with. We should implement heavy punishment, heavy fines to those who doesn't comply with the OSHA acts. In this case for Malaysia, operational shutdown is quite a bit heavy. It could possibly affect the company as well. Now, Miss Dayang, how does OSHA 1994 apply to all employees or some extent? Is there any?
It applies to all employees. However, independent contractor might fall under different regulations, but the workplace safety principle remains the same.
Remains the same safety principle. It seems that it still doesn't have enough impact for the principle to change. However, Afik, how do business typically ensure that they are compliant with the OSHA regulation?
All right. To ensure that they are compliant with OSHA regulations, most businesses conduct regular OSHA audits, provide ongoing training, and engage with OSHA consultants to stay the compliant.
By OSHA compliant consultant, do you mean like the safety officer like DOSH?
Yeah.
Ah, I see, I see. It makes sense now and it's clear to me. Okay, Dayang, could you tell us about the role of OSH officers in business, the one that I have mentioned before, the DOSH officer? Could you tell us about their role?
Yes, OSH officers are responsible for overseeing compliance, conducting training, and implementing safety protocols. They are go-to experts within an organization.
Yeah. They are the one who we call the jargon, the experts within the organization. And I found that in Malaysia, often there are 2 or 3 companies with a single officer. So it seems that in Malaysia, their responsibility is quite high and heavy. That's why we often see in social media or in the news, they are often labeled as harsh and strict people, but they have to. Afiq, how do these OSH law affect the mental health of employees? What
All
what
right.
you say?
Okay. Actually, they require the business to consider the psychological aspects of work, such as stress management and providing support for mental well-being. It might be very helpful for the employees.
Yeah, it's truly helpful. As good as they are, but we don't want to be following Japan in their work culture where it might be sensitive content, but suicide because of stress from the work is not a healthy culture we can have. So I think mental health support is very, very helpful to maintain the healthy environment, work environment. And yes, uh, Dayang, are there any recent amendment or update to the OSHA 1994 Act that the business should be aware of?
Yes, there have been update focusing on increasing fines for non-compliance and emphasizing the mental of workers.
So again, there were fines, heavy fines, and they
Yes.
increased the value of it for the non-compliance. Again, they want to uh, implement a heavy punishment so that the unwanted thing were not happen. Apik, how do you think the OSH law interact with the workers' compensation laws?
All right, sure. In my opinion, Oslo work in tandem with workers' compensation laws to prevent the workplace injuries and ensure that the workers are compensated if the injuries occurs.
So the workers will only be compensated if there are any injury. But did it specify what kind of injury to them? Was it accidental injury, or if the injury was caused by because the carelessness of themselves, which could they be also compensated? I think in the regulation and 1994 laws, if the employees were injured due to his carelessness, he is not eligible for the compensation. Instead, they would be supported with the um, life support from the management company. Anyways, Dayang, what role does technology play in OSH management?
Technology plays a huge role, from safety monitoring device to training platforms and compliance software. It is streamlines many OSH processes.
Afik, could you discuss the importance of safety culture in the organization? I mean, we need a bit more clarification on the safety culture, as in Malaysia now, it was in a bit in a gray line. By all means, please.
All right, sure. Uh, s- so, the safety culture is a fundamental. It's about creating an environment where safety is prioritized and everyone feels responsible for it. That's all.
Everyone, which means it involve everyone. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't become a culture if everyone is not involved, right?
All right.
So we wanted to create a safety culture by introducing a campaign such as TPM and 5S and so on. So, however, in order to promote that culture, what are the challenges business face in implementing the OSH?
Yes, challenges include the cost of implementation, staying update with regulation, and ensuring employee participant in safety programs.
Participant in safety program. Again, this could be related to the training program that we mentioned before, right?
Yes.
So I think was like uh, a program that can achieve two objectives in a way. Afik, how should a business prepare for the OSH inspection?
The businesses should maintain the records of compliance, ensure all safety measures are up to date, and also have a clear protocol for inspectors to follow.
So which means they need to have a specific SOP for the inspection, and they need to provide for them the inventory list as well as the updated protocol for the inspector to follow. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Ms. Dayang, how does OSH legislation impact small business differently than the large corporation? How
Mm,
does it?
Small business may struggle with resources need for full compliance, but the principle of OSH is still applied regardless of size.
Still apply regardless of size. Isn't a
Yes.
bit too unfair? It seems to me that it's feel like a bit of unfair. It's more favor to the large corporation, large company, where the small company couldn't come up with the same resources, but they still have to comply.
Yeah.
I think probably someday in the near future, some of the regulation would need to be revised and changed if necessary. Do you agree with me?
Yes. But it is
All right.
law.
Yeah, law is law. Oh yeah. Moving on, Afiq, can international OSH standard influence the local Malaysian business? Hmm, what say you?
Can international OSH standards influence local Malaysian business? The answer is absolutely. Many Malaysian businesses adopt international standards like ISO 450001 to enhance their OSH practices.
Ah, I mislook about that. Yeah, yeah, we already have adapted this with ISO for whether it's ISO 45001 or ISO 90001. Uh,
Yes.
I think it was the other aspect. However, Ms. Dayang, how do business handle OSH training for employees?
OSH training for employees by they typically handle through regulation seasons, e-learning modules, and practical exercise relevant to the employees' roles.
Oh, training through e-learning model, how the world become more modern and more informative. How about the industrial practice? Do you think during the LI or industrial practice, students are able to receive exposure on learning for the OSH?
Yes,
Yes. What do you think about Mr. Afik? Do you think the
Yes.
student would
Of course,
have
students can
exposure?
apply during international during industrial training.
I see. Hopefully, we all can have the same opportunity as well. Anyway, Afik, in what way do business document OSH compliance?
All right. So
Could you
basically,
clarify?
business document or compliance its documentation includes the audit reports, training records, incidents logs, and risk assessments.
I see. So it's a documentation for continuous monitoring that record all the file that happened before for
Uh,
record keeping sake, right?
all right. Yes.
I see. Thank you. And and how do emergency response plan fit into the OSH requirement?
they are critical. Business must have plans for various emergencies, conduct drills, and ensure everyone knows their role during an emergency.
Everyone must know their role during emergency.
Yeah.
That's why it is critical to emergency response, right?
Yeah.
Afik, what is the importance of OSH for business reputation?
All right. I think uh, strong OSH practices can lead to a reputation for safety and responsibility, which can attract talent and customers.
New talent as new customer. Do you think that a company will always need? I agree with you. Now, Ms. Dayang, are there any sector where OSH is particularly challenging to be enforced? Any field, any sector? Is there any?
Yes, yes, because in sectors with high risk factors like mining or offshore drilling, enforcement can be particularly challenging.
I see. Why do you think it hard to to enforce? I personally think that since uh, this mining site or the offshore drilling place take place in a remote area, such as in the middle of the ocean, communication could be bit hard, and this um, provide a difficulty for the OSH to be enforced. Do you think so?
Yes, because there are a high risk area where it can be something like hazard to you.
I see. Uh, Unpredictable hazards like the explosion. I think we are clear on that. Mr. Afik, how do you think regulation can ensure the safety of temporary or seasonal worker?
All right. Temporary or seasonal workers are covered under the same OSH laws as permanent employees. And also, business must provide the same level of protection.
Oh, so all fair and equal. I like that. I like that one. Everybody should have received the same equal treatment in
Yeah.
term of safety. In term of safety only. All right. How about you, Mr. Dayang? Mr. Dayang, what is the role of employee feedback in managing the OSH?
Employee feedback is essential for identifying unseen risks and improving safety protocols.
Improving safety protocol and in identifying unseen risks. Yeah, we could agree on that since the employer might not see everything and something might only uh, be identified by through the procedure of reporting. That's why I want to emphasize again about the whistleblowing procedure, whistleblowing act, which was under the Act law. Afik, how can the business stay ahead of potential post legislative changes?
All right. In for your information, the businesses can stay ahead of potential or legislative changes by engaging with industry bodies, attending OSH seminars, and also consulting legal experts regularly.
Oh, so that means they could keep up with the time by keep themselves informed and stay up to date with the OSH legislation and regulation. However, what what's the future of OSH management in business? Do you think
Mm,
about?
me, the future will likely include more advanced risk assessment tools, better reporting system, and stronger integration of employee well-being into OSH policies.
See, thank you very much, Mr. Afik and Mrs. Dayang. Your your insight has proven very valuable tonight, this evening. So we can conclude this forum session has ended. Let's all let's all have a better day.